Of all the dumb things that I could have spent my Christmas money on, this might be the most useless. So the pile of packages that you're looking at right now is all the parts to upgrade this thing to the max and make it as good as it can be. For the heatsink, I'm gonna be using Arctic MX4. I only have a little bit of this left, so I'm gonna use it up on that. And then for the CPU, I'm gonna use Arctic MX6, which this stuff is pretty much brand new. And then we're gonna be putting an inland 128 gig SSD in it. And for that, you need this IDE to SATA adapter. And I figured I'd do this the proper way with the 3.5 inch to 2.5 inch adapter mount thing. The clock battery in this is dead, so I got batteries for it. This is 1 gigabyte of DDR1 RAM. And after I put all these parts in it, I'm gonna be upgrading from Mac OS Tiger to Leopard. That's gonna be a big improvement on the software side. So without any more rambling, let's get into upgrading this thing. So first, I started off by taking off the bottom silver piece that covers up the RAM and your airport card expansion slots. Then it was time to take off the bottom portion of the computer that the motherboard is attached to. Which for some reason is actually really difficult. After the base was off, it was time to unplug all the cables. And after that, it was time to take out the hard drive and disk drive assembly thing. After getting it out, it was time to put in the SSD. I started by putting the SSD in the mount and then putting the adapter on. After that, I put it in its cage and plugged everything in, and then I realized there was a problem. The IDE adapter that I was using was too big, and with how tight everything fits into this computer, it was impossible to get it back in again. So like any good YouTuber that doesn't have enough time to do things properly, I got out the double-sided tape and stuck the SSD to the disk drive. After that long process, it's time to swap in the new 1 gigabyte of RAM. And then to put in our brand new PRAM battery. Then it was time to replace the thermal paste. The stuff that was on it was actually pretty new. It wasn't all that hard. As for the heat sinks, well, that stuff was baked on and was a whole lot harder to get off. After putting it all together and powering it on, I was expecting to get the boot chime, but instead I got 3 very scary beeps. Meaning that the RAM wasn't compatible. What I didn't realize at the time when I ordered this RAM is that it takes non-ECC unregistered RAM. And what I had bought, it was the exact opposite. It was ECC registered RAM meant for servers. So I immediately ordered another stick of RAM that I hoped would work. Meanwhile, while that was being shipped to my house, I put in the original 256 megabytes of RAM and got Tiger installed onto the SSD. So here's the current process, or the current status on the process of putting Leopard on this thing. So I've got my PC over here, which is downloading 10.5 Leopard. Then I'm gonna send that over to my Mac, which I'm gonna use to put Leopard on a USB stick, which I'm gonna put over here onto my Mac Mini, and then restore the USB with 10.5 to make it bootable. Then I'm gonna bring it over to the G4 iMac and install it from there and hope that it works after the process of using 4 computers to get this going. Now I could have ended the video here, having tried my best at upgrading the iMac to the max, but I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that it didn't have its full 2 gigs of RAM and that my video didn't have the best G4 iMac as the title. So I bought more RAM for it. This is my 3rd attempt at trying to get a full-size stick into this thing and get 2 gigs of RAM in it. So here we go for the 3rd time, opening it up, trying to upgrade this thing to the max. Yeah.
That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
So here it is, the most powerful G4 iMac in the world. Not really, but this thing is the most powerful it's going to get. So before we started the upgrade, it had 256 megabytes of RAM and an 80 gigabyte IDE hard drive, which is actually back there now, and apparently is part of the set piece, I guess. But now it has the maximum, according to Apple, unofficial 2 gigabytes of RAM and a 128 gigabyte SSD. So how much did this all cost? Well, I don't really know. So the iMac itself was $80 from Goodwill. The clock batteries were $10. The SSD adapter that I did not use was $5. The SSD itself I had from another build that I did, but we'll just value it at $10 since that's what I paid for it then. And the adapter, I'm pretty sure that was $10 too. Thermal paste we'll just value at $20 since both of them are like $10 a piece, I'm pretty sure. And then the RAM, the 1 gig of laptop RAM that goes in the bottom that's easily accessible was $16.28, and the normal full-size stick of RAM that I put on the inside was $8.14. So in total I paid, let's see, 80 plus 20 plus what? 1628. So in total, this cost $159.42. So was it worth it? No. Don't do this. Yeah, $160. All of these upgrades are pretty much as useless as it gets. Unless you're doing vintage gaming, I I don't really see much reason to do this. But here it is, the best G4 iMac for 2024. So what am I going to do with this thing now? Well, I don't really know. So if you have any suggestions for video ideas for this thing, then definitely put them in the comments down below. I have plans to make a video entirely dedicated to this thing, and I've been kind of planning it out for the past month or so. So definitely subscribe if you want to see that. For now, I'm pretty pleased that this thing is as good as it's gonna get. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff, because there's gonna be more of it. If you liked the video, then you know what to do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.